So we're here in Kansas City for the All Star game, and right now we're at Forest Hill Cemetery to visit the graves of Hall of Famer Satchel Paige and near Hall of Famer Buck O'Neil. Also the grave of another Hall of Famer, an obscure Hall of Famer, a player named Zack Wheat. We might be the first people to visit this Hall of Famer's grave all year, maybe all decade. So here we are. We found Satchel Paige's monument. It's a lovely spot, centrally located. Satchel is here with his wife, Lahoma Jean. Satchel came to Kansas City with the Kansas City Monarchs in the 1930s and then made this his home, had 7 kids here. Satchel's marker, you can see baseballs. People bring baseballs and leave them. I'd been here before, came here a few years ago with a friend, a couple of friends, and brought a ball, brought our gloves, had a game of catch, which is what we do when we visit cemeteries and the old markers. One of the great things about this marker, as opposed to a lot of that I've seen, it's got a lot about Satchel's career, but maybe the most famous thing about Satchel Paige was his 6 rules on how to stay young. The last of the 6 rules on how to stay young is don't look back, something might be gaining on you, which is one of the great quotes. It's been in Bartlett's and all those books, and you'll hear it and see it all over the place. So the 3 most famous Kansas City baseball personalities are Satchel Paige, Casey Stengel, and Buck O'Neil. Buck became sort of a national figure in the early 90s when Ken Burns' baseball documentary aired. And basically for the next 20 years, Buck was a very well-known figure in baseball, and certainly especially in Kansas City. Buck is not in the Hall of Fame, though. A lot of people in Kansas City were really upset when Buck was not elected. Buck took it really well. In fact, there's a great quote on this monument. Buck said, "If I'm a Hall of Famer for you, that's all right with me. Just keep loving old Buck. Don't weep for Buck. No, man, be happy, be thankful." And I thought Buck's reaction was beautiful and really turned what could have been sort of an ugly thing, especially around here in Kansas City, into something that really sort of epitomized what he means to me and what he meant to me and what he meant to the people of Kansas City. I'm sure that when people come to visit Buck O'Neil's grave, they find that monument up there about 300 yards away from here with all the quotes and the history, and they think, oh, I found it. But Buck is actually not buried there, which I didn't realize until someone mentioned it, someone who works here. Buck is here. Buck and his wife Ora Lee. As you can see, it's a very modest grave. The flowers and the flag. Buck was a veteran, served in World War II. But this is the place. If you want to see where Buck O'Neil is buried, you have to do a little digging because he is not where a lot of people probably think he is. Well, Satchel Paige is not the only Hall of Fame baseball player buried in this cemetery. We're searching for the grave of the other one, who played for the Brooklyn Dodgers his entire career. Obviously not quite as ornate or prominent as Satchel Paige's or Buck O'Neil's. Zack is here with his wife on one side, Daisy Wheat, and apparently his daughter, Mary Gottschall. It clearly hasn't been well maintained. It probably hasn't been visited by more than maybe a few people like me who are into this sort of odd hobby. So when I see a grave like Zack Wheat's, untended, neglected, probably hasn't visited in quite a while, and this idea pops into my head, sort of a Westminster Abbey for baseball players. I think the Hall of Fame should consider disinterring players like Zack Wheat. Why not create a space at the Hall of Fame right outside where you can go into the Hall of Fame, see Zack Wheat's plaque, walk outside, have this lovely green lawn with Zack Wheat, some of the other Hall of Famers who perhaps have been neglected over the years, and visit their graves. I think that would be a lovely addition to Cooperstown.